Hey everyone, hope everyone had a great Christmas and having a good holidays. Of course, back here with Farshad. We're hopping into this quick. We said last video before Christmas, but we're not hesitating to shoot them after here on Boxing Day, early. Farshad, first things first, how are you? How was your Christmas? How are your holidays so far? Did you get any presents?
Yes, of course. Hi, Jason. Thank you for having me here again. I hope everyone has had a very good holidays and Christmas. Of course, we had it with turkey dinner and enjoyed it a lot. Okay.
Good, good. I know you got a exciting gift from Santa. I know that probably the everyone in the group and everyone online is probably happy to see.
Okay.
There you
That's
go.
what Santa brought me.
No, good, good. Well, here, again, thanks for people who are tuning in. We want to do a video, actually talking about Doubleview as an investment, kind of where the property's at, some comparison stuff. I'll see how much I can stretch out a far shot here. Seeing a lot of people talk. I know there's comparisons in the chat. We have to be very careful what we can do on a video and what I can get from Farshad. But I saw the questions, I see where the group's at, and I wanted to kind of of course, get as much as I could out of Farshad. We wanted to go over, of course, grade, size, potential, things like that, next steps. So we're gonna see how much we can get through. But hey, Farshad, I'm gonna start. And we're gonna see. You can tell me what you're comfortable with, and what teasers I can pull out of you. Like I said, first things first. I want to talk about the grade of the project. As a porphyry, and I know it's hard to give comparisons to mines that are in production, but I want to kind of talk to you about the grade of the project and get your insight.
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Yes, there are one of the criterias in appraising a project is grade, of course. The grade is very important. There are certain levels for every jurisdiction. Every jurisdiction is different. For instance, if I am in South America and I'm dealing with all those kind of things, I want a percent to be percent copper to be my guideline. And that's how the big companies looking at it because they are the ones eventually taking this project into production unless we take the realm and we move it, and which I'm up to it. And for BC, there's a more or less, talk that we got to have 0.2% copper. And definitely you should have two more criterias. One, you should have close to the surface, above zero point 0.2, they call it in a layman term, starter pit. You got to have that opportunity. And then the other thing is you got to have several intervals of, for a lack of a better term, 400.4% copper equivalent. That's what you want to have. It gives you a very good expansion on the volume. And of course, the volume at the end of the day, they do the resource calculation down to 0.1% copper equivalent. That gives you the parameters of this. So now about the hat, around drill hole 22, 23, we got this mineralization very close to the surface. Around drill hole 10, we have it. Around drill hole 8, we have it. Those are close to the surface, giving us the hint that we can have in the design in the future, the starter pit started from there. How about the grade? We have the grade in many, many holes. Hole 22, 23, 34, 31, many of them. We have that. And that's a major criteria playing in the goodness or acceptable deposit that we have it. So we have the grade.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And again, to give people insight, this is the grade that most majors are looking to start a porphyry, and you guys have that. I guess the next thing to talk about, the size, right? Obviously, size is very important. When creating a porphyry. Do you want to talk about the potential size of the project and the property? I see a lot of questions in the group just to give you some direction here of people saying how many tons, how much ore could there be? And of course, I want to preface this with anyone watching, not fully proven, of course. These are guesstimates. This is just talking to the expert of the company and getting his insight. This is by no means investing advice or confirmed results. So Farshad, back to you. Do you want to talk about the potential size of this, property in the project?
Yes. At the end of the day, our consumers are major mining companies, and I'm talking about their thinking and how they think. They're miners, they want to take it to mining. Normally in BC, they look at the first criteria, which is the grade. The second criteria, they look at the size. The size should be about 250 million tons plus. Now, 250 million tons is on the lower scale of the spectrum, if you want to call it. But as it grows to be larger, it makes it more lucrative. They look at the mine life status on that because the initial investment is very large, very, very large. It's about $500 million to $2.5 billion has been seen all around the world. So they should have that. Now, referring to that, I point out to do a couple of factors. First, we have proven that the IP works, and IP has a volume, hypothetically, not proven. If it proves up and the whole IP is put into practice, and just that one done, we're looking at very large number potential for this project.
Can we get that, potential number, what for the people again?
Potential number,
Yeah.
this is not resource calculation, this is not proven. The potential we're looking at, I'm hoping to get something like 4 billion tons plus. That's what I'm looking at. I've done, looked at this volume of this IP. Of course, every one of those areas should be drilled off and shown.
And to
It's a
mention, I
very
guess,
good
in
potential.
our last video, you guys have drilled outside the IP and seen, mineralization as well, just to throw a little teaser in there. So you said 4 billion with a B tons of, if I heard you right there, just based
Yes.
on the IP. So very interesting, good potential. And can you talk for, other porphyries, just in your expertise here? How many, tons expected did they go into production with?
They are, for instance, in BC, we see KSM about 4 billion tons. That's the largest one. We see it. And they go down from there. By the way, our opportunity doesn't end there. We are going to do IP to the north of this area that we've done. And we know there are three spots that we have some sort of old signature, IP signature, that they see very, I see them very prospective. And we want to do that. We have a chance to double this size in the near future.
Holy. Well,
Yes.
that's a good little teaser there. That's awesome. So I guess you know, just moving forward, so I have questions here about potential, but I want to start with you. Do you want to kind of walk through, and again, saying this is not investment advice, this is your expertise and really your hope and our hope. Do you want to walk through the potential of, of this deposit a little bit more? So you say the potential to double, these 4 billion tons potentially with more IP work, of course, and, everything else going on. Do you want to touch on some points?
Yes. There are the potential that I spoke about is just right now, I believe we've passed that point to show that this IP works because absolutely wherever we drilled it, we came with joy. Even outside that realm of this IP, we have drill holes like 22, 23. They are in the mineralization, but the IP didn't cover it unless we go to a wider range, which you can check the previous video and you can have a look at it, how we made it wider. We have two other extra potential that we have to add to it. One is the Hawaii to the south, and one is the north that we do the IP. This project is one of the specific projects that I've seen so far. I haven't seen this signature anywhere.
Can you
I
talk to
can
me,
say it.
talk into people about like feasibility here for a second? I know, we're not economists here, but for example, let's say hypothetically a deposit like, like the hat, let's say it's a billion tons. Is that economic? And assuming that other factors are similar as the property. Is even 1 billion tons economic?
500 million tons is economic too. Economic means you have the grade, a starter pit, and you have some other options that they have to come in, and we go to them, but they're all at the game. It makes it economic, and we have to touch on all of those in the future. But I wholeheartedly believe that majors don't want to see us to prove up too much, because too much means it's getting more expensive. I'm ready here to stay for another 10 years if it takes to drill it even further until the right price comes in. So it's cheaper today.
No, fair, fair. Obviously, hey, they're gonna pay less in theory if they come sooner rather than later. That was one of my questions I actually had. Future ambitions. To take the project to the next level. I guess you really just made it clear. Look, you're willing. You've got it planned out. And curious for people that are asking, what would be the next steps to take this project to the next level? Without giving any timelines, but in your mind today, what needs to happen to get that project or get the property to that next level in your eyes?
I should say we are right now at this stage until we announce these results. You will see the results. I think we have touched the next step. Now going beyond that, it depends on the market and how it goes. Market is of course hot for copper, and we are in the copper gold market, really, really getting to that super cycle. If we stay on the project, the next step for us is go drill and drill, prove up more, prove up more. And that's our game, basically. That's what we want to stand. Unless other things come in, the price of copper goes through the roof, and who knows, it's already through the roof. It gets a lot better, and then we're talking different route that we have to take, and it comes naturally.
Yeah. No, cool. Well, obviously we expect to do a, more in-depth video about potential next steps going forward. And we'll see, we'll probably do that after, of course, results come. So cool. Curious here, I got a question. Also it was kind of about, comparisons ish, access and also, First Nation stuff. Is there any comments you wanted to make on those points?
Yes, you asked a very good question, because there are as I said, there are other factors in the game. In here, one of them is topography. Topography, you're from Toronto, people from Vancouver, they know North Vancouver, Richmond Hill. Richmond Hill is almost the topography you get at our property, except at the end of it, the height goes about 300 feet extra, and who cares? The topography is considerably flat, and it's very favorable for a mine. The second thing is access. We can use the access road right now, but the access road is about 5 to 6 kilometers away from our south border, which is Golden Bear Road. It's been used for mining, and eventually in the future, that's one of our access, or from Level Mountain goes straight out of the community, and it gets us there. There are other factors like labor force. We have fantastic labor force from Telegraph Creek. They go all the way for 100 kilometers to Red Chris and work. When this is about 40 clicks away, what is better than that? They go to work in the morning, they go home in the evening, and it's very easy. These are the major factors. And there's another factor is First Nation. We're working diligently to get strong relationship with them. And I'm very confident at some point we're going to get to really work with them in depth. And I'm sure they're looking at economic development of this area, because this is very important for First Nations to always have the first hand on it. And we give them the first hand, of course. And we want them to be involved and be our partner in this.
Oh, cool. No, you touched on a lot of points there. I think that's great. Obviously, those are important factors, and you touch on, hey, the need for a crazy camp maybe isn't there. That's again brings down how much it's going to cost, right to make it feasible. So that's fantastic. I know we weren't trying to go for too long. You know, it's right after Christmas. You're, uh, we've had a crazy time with a bunch of videos. Is there anything from a DBG as an investment? You know, DBG's potential stuff you're comfortable touching on before we close things off?
There is one of the criterias that always, when I invest in any deal, I always look at it. One of them, the most important one, is when I look at a company, I look at the principles to see how much they have invested in that company. I am one of them. I have invested. This is my major investment in a project because wholeheartedly, I believe this is going to be a big payday eventually for me myself. And I'm very proud of what I've done during these 10 years of my investment and the work I've done. Should this be a very good success story for everyone, including all the shareholders, and be the biggest gift they give to themselves in the new year?
Yeah, and your drive obviously to create shareholder value while you're the biggest shareholder is definitely there, and that's great. I know we don't want to make any comments on share price, but I know before you did mention, hey, you think it's undervalued, and that's good, that's awesome, and it's great you
Yes.
feel that way, and hopefully we can keep moving the right direction. I think these videos have been great, and hopefully other people feel the same. Again, less chance to mention anything about the property you think we missed out. Again, I think some big topics obviously covered, the potential to be 4 billion tons plus, and you guys are looking at potentially expanding that to double with more IP work, which is fantastic. And then on the other side, you definitely touched on the fact that really Doubleview is kind of feasible in your opinion at 500,000,000 tons. So that's fantastic at the grades you guys are seeing. You expect results around the corner, which is great, and it seems like a lot of good things on coming for Doubleview. Anything you wanted to touch on that I missed out?
I think we've said it all. I was waiting for this moment to come in. I believe it's around the corner. I wanted copper to be at a level that major mining companies, they have to buy it. And we see it right now coming, and they have to get their hands on the best deposit that they can find their hands on. I believe this is the coming year is our year.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, we'll leave it there. Farshad, thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your holidays. Have a good new year, and we'll chat soon.
Sure. Happy New Year to everyone in advance. And I hope you have a beautiful New Year holiday, and we'll see you in next year.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I want to squeeze in one last question I was seeing in the group. People are saying, most majors require a resource estimate in order to engage in a buyout or put up an offer. Do you want to talk about maybe why, not necessarily Doubleview, but why a property like this might not require a resource estimate, and the benefits to a major for offering or potentially buying out something like this before it gets to a resource estimate?
Yes. I think in the last two exploration, I have proven that the IP works, and that shows that this volume that we have in the IP, whenever we drill it, it's in the mineralization. So we've proven the concept. The potential right now is very obvious to everyone. Now looking at it from the major point of view, they're looking at this deposit and they say, okay, Farshad is gonna drill more, is gonna prove up more, is gonna prove up more. He comes up with a resource calculation and this massive one. Is he gonna back out uh, of this deal like with less than the largest offer? It's very expensive. If I spend $5 million on this, I make sure I get a lot of volume out of it and making that a lot more expensive. If I do a resource calculation, I jump off and I make it a lot higher. So it all depends on the project. How much of this is proven, how much of this potential, and I can see it as a major mining company that I can tell, okay, this is my potential. let's take him out right now because it's cheaper to take him out right now than
And
later on
I want
dealing
to
with Parsha.
emphasize, something at least that I'm seeing. I think, people are really locking onto, and the reason you've said so many times that, this is proving the IP, right? The more you prove the IP, the more that IP is credible when you're talking to others. So you may not be required to do 100 drill holes to prove this other parts when you already have 20 or 30 that fit and make sense, right? So now that's why you're saying this IP is so important. I think some people miss that when we're chatting, is that proving the IP means that there's more credibility to the other parts of the IP, that it's factual. So you may not be required to drill that much, at least when you're talking in negotiations. And now, to your point, the more you prove, the higher it's going to cost. And now it's an economic decision for the major, saying, well, do we want to pay now or do we want to pay later? And
Yes,
at what price? And hey, to them, if they really believe in the IP and the work behind it, they look at it, hey, this could be a huge opportunity for them to get a deal, right? Instead of paying billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, they could get away with a lower fee, make them look like they're the kings, and everyone kind of wins, and you don't have to do a bunch of drilling. So I think it important. I've been seeing the question about needing a resource estimate, and I agree. I think there's unique situations. I do think Doubleview is one, but this is why we have been stressing that we've proven the IP time and time again. Did I say anything wrong, or am I
no, you
on
were
piece?
all right, but I want to make emphasize on one point. When we talk about this matter, that doesn't mean any majors have knocked on our door or any of that. So those are, of course, they
Yeah,
are off this.
like I said, all
I don't want to touch on that.
hypotheticals. Again, not investing advice. Just really wanted to clear, some of the error. Of course, simple economics. The less is proven, the less they have to pay. The more that's proven, the more they have to pay. And the
Absolutely.
easiest example to give people is, of course, Doubleview.
Exactly.
So
Don't make it more expensive for yourself. That's the rule.
so perfect. Well, Farshad, anything else you wanted to say about that? That little comment, that question.
I believe I covered it. We don't need necessarily to have a resource calculation, but if we get one, that's very, very awesome because that all of a sudden gives it a notch higher up.
Perfect. No, awesome. Well, cool. Well, we'll leave things here. Farshad, thanks for joining.
No problem. Thank you.